Hello everyone, welcome back. Today's video is actually a request from one of our participants. I'm not sure if she wants me to mention her name on the video or not, but you know who you are. So for today's video, you are going to need one prop, something that you can elevate your hips with. So either a rolled up blanket, a bolster, or a block. Have it relatively close by, and we are going to start in a cross-legged position. So once you get to your cross-legged position, if you notice that it's not comfortable, this time I don't want you to use the height, a block or a prop or something to help you. I actually want you to try right on your bum, because we want to use it as a little bit of a gauge to see if this practice is going to help do something with our hips. So if sitting cross-legged for you is super uncomfortable, or you really notice that your spine is curving and arching and you really kind of can't get any length, then take your feet and put the soles of your feet together in this little diamond formation or butterfly formation, however way you want to call it, so that you actually can get into a little bit of a spinal, not so much holding it uncomfortably straight, but you want to create a little bit of space in that spine. So choose whichever leg position you are going to start off with. And again, off a prop. Don't be on a prop. I know it might be a little uncomfortable, but we want to use it as a gauge. So see if you can bear with it without a prop for a little bit. So find your sit, and we're just going to take a few breaths here in our sit position as we prepare for our practice today. So as we take those few breaths at the beginning of our practice, we just want to kind of clear ourselves, clear our mind, clear the distractions a little bit off to the side as best as we can. We know that it's not 100% guaranteed that we will be, that we won't be distracted, but can you kind of find a little bit of space within your mind so that you can pay attention to your practice? Pay attention to the time that you are going to spend here on your mat. And as you take a few breaths here to relax, just notice what you notice. Notice any tight spots. You might be noticing them in your hips, knees, ankles, wherever you feel that tight spot, just notice it. And see if you can take a few more breaths in the position that you are in, or do you absolutely need to take a little bit of a wiggle jiggle to modify your shape? So as you inhale and exhale, notice the space that you create. Notice the expansion with the inhale. And notice with your exhale how you sink. You sink into the floor, you sink into your body, and perhaps letting go of a little something in that exhale. 2 more cycles of breath here. Take an inhale to see if you can get a little bit more length in that spine. And this time with your exhale, see if you can hinge from the hips forward. So basically trying to take your collarbone down towards the floor in front of you. And again, you're going to notice how far you can go. You still want to keep both of your sit bones on the floor, so don't go so far as if you're trying to get into tabletop, not just yet. Just notice what kind of a hinge can you get. And once again, notice what you notice in your knees. Notice what you notice in your hip flexors. Maybe you notice something in your back, in your neck, in your shoulders. We'll take 5 breaths here, noticing if with each exhale, can you get just a little bit deeper into your fold here? And again, these might be measured in micromillimeters. Try not to tense up, try not to curve your spine too much. We're just trying to notice what we notice in the hips, knees, spine. Can you still breathe? Or are you folding so much forward that you've cut off your breath supply, which is not good. We want to still be able to breathe. One more cycle of breath here. Nice, easy fold in a sit position here. With your inhale, straighten out yourself, release any tension, slowly bring your knees up towards the ceiling, and maybe just kind of bring them in front and give yourself that little bit of a wiggle jiggle, just to let go of any tension that simple move may have created. Yes? And then when you're ready, we are going to come down to the floor, but make sure that you have a prop close by. I'm going to have my bolster here, and I am going to have my block here close by as well, in case I want to use the block instead of the bolster, but just have something with you before you lie down so that you don't have to disturb yourself and get up to get that prop. So I am going to come down to my back, and again, taking my time, you might want to engage a little bit more effort here, engaging your abs, or you simply might want to flop down onto your back, and then soften the heels, soften your glutes, readjust yourself to get more comfortable, and then draw the knees up into the chest. And again, not too tight because we are going to move in circular motions with our knees, so we still want to have some space. I'm going to take my hands, one hand on each knee, and I'm going to make 2 independent circles with my knees, as if I'm trying to draw invisible circles on the ceiling. And I'm going to take my inhale to draw the knees slightly into the chest, and then use your exhale to move them outward. And as you slowly draw them back in towards each other, back towards your chest, see what you notice. Are the circles small? Are they big? Do you notice that one hip is a little tighter than the other? So we're just rotating our femur bone into our hip socket. And just in case you're mindful with the breath, take the inhale to draw the knees away from you and use your exhale to draw them in. Inhale away, exhale, draw them in. So we're just investigating how our hips feel, how that hip socket feels, how our hip flexors feel, and we're just using a little bit of work effort here to rotate and move through that socket. And again, you might notice that your circles are very short or small because you're feeling a little tight there. That's okay. Maybe you can make the circles a little bigger. It's totally up to you. How do you feel right now? What is accessible for you? And then draw the knees in towards the chest. Give it a slightly tighter squeeze, and then release those feet back to the floor. And once again, just give yourself a little bit of a wiggle jiggle, a little bit of a movement to release anything that may have crept up there. Making those circles may have created a little bit of tension, so you want to give your body a second or two, a breath or two, to release that. Now we are going to get into some very simple bridges. So have your feet planted on the floor. Try to have your feet hip bone distance apart. So I'd like to have an alignment, a little bit of an alignment issue here. Not so much an issue, but my feet, knees, and hip bone should be relatively in a straight line. So we don't want to start with our feet super wide, and we don't want to start with our feet right beside each other. Have a little space. And just give your hips a little wiggle jiggle, and I'm just going to relax my hands down to the side so that I can roll my shoulders down to the floor, almost like I'm pushing the shoulder blades into the mat. I'm going to push evenly into the feet, and with your exhale, your inhale, oh my, your inhale, push into your feet and just lift your glutes up off the floor. And then with your exhale, you're going to lower your glutes back down to the mat. So push into the hands if it helps you a little bit. Inhale, think of drawing those hip bones up towards the sky, and use your exhale to lower your glutes down to the floor. So inhale is a lifting motion, maybe squeezing your glutes a little bit, and then as you exhale, release, bum back down to the floor. We'll take 3 more waves like that. A nice big inhale to lift, only as far as you can comfortably go, and then as you exhale, release back down. 2 more like that. Inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down, and release that if you need a little bit of a movement here, maybe drawing your knees into your chest to release that tension. And you're going to use your prop now. So I'm going to start off with my bolster, and I might change my mind and use my block. But for now, I'm going to start with my bolster. So I have it, my hand on it here on the right side. I'm going to push into those feet again to lift those glutes, and then I'm going to try to take that prop that I have, whatever it is, if it's your blanket, your block, or your bolster, and stick it underneath your bum so that it's elevated. Extend the left leg long, and just notice this hip flexor, how it opens up as it's draped over your prop. Now you might want to stay right here. That might be enough sensation for you. Or you might be able to comfortably draw the right knee in towards your chest, and you can gently draw it in with your hand. And we're allowing that hip flexor to open up a little bit more. And I'm talking about the hip flexor on your left hip. We'll hold here for about 3 cycles of breath. So I'm trying to allow that hip flexor to relax. I'm not clenching here. I'm trying to allow the front of the hip to open up. 1 more cycle of breath here. If the right foot is lifted, bring it to the floor. Rebend the left foot, so both feet on the floor. And then take a little bit of movement here to release that if you need. And then when you're ready, extend right leg long along the mat. And again, you can stay right here with that left foot bent and on the floor. It depends. How does your back feel? How do your hips feel? If you think you'd prefer, draw that left knee in towards your chest a little bit. That might give you more sensation. You might feel that right hip flexor release a little bit more, or it might be too much. Find what modification you need at this moment. And we'll take about 3 breaths here. You might notice that your breath is a little faster, a little slower, but we just want to give that hip flexor a second or two to open up. With your next exhale, rebend that right foot. So both feet are planted on the floor, and we're going to lift our hips just enough so that we can remove the prop that we have underneath our glutes. Slowly bring yourself back down to the floor, and once again, take any little movement that is going to make you release any tension. Maybe you don't need any movement. Maybe stillness is what you prefer right now. And then once you're ready, we are going to make our way up into our tabletop. So which method would you prefer to use today to bring yourself up so that we are on all fours? So once again, we want to come to our tabletop where our hands are underneath our shoulders, our knees are underneath our hips. And again, here, just notice how your back feels, how your spine feels, how your hips feel. How does your body feel with just those little bit of movements? I'm just taking a little wiggle jiggle here. Tuck the toes under, and we're just going to take a very quick downward facing dog so that we can lift the hips with the exhale. Keep the knees nice and soft, and slowly walk those feet in so that you come to your forward fold. Take an inhale to come up to your flat back. Notice the spine, notice the legs. Use your exhale to fold forward. And use your inhale to come up to a standing position. And I'm just going to relax my arms this time around, just so that I can find a nice, easy mountain pose. Make any shifts. Notice the shifts in your body, left to right side. And from mountain pose, finish your exhale. And with your inhale, scoop the arms up towards the sky. And with your exhale, fold forward, a very gentle fold. Inhale, flat back. And as you exhale, fingertips to the floor. Inhale that left foot back and come into a low lunge. Now, in your low lunge, once you've dropped that knee, you might notice that you have to readjust the distance between your feet. Now, if you really notice that in your low lunge you have a difficult time getting the fingertips to the floor, you can use your blocks here underneath your fingertips if that's going to help you create some space. I think I'm going to use just my fingertips because all I want to do is take an inhale to rock my body forward. Think hips dropping down towards the mat, your chest opening up to the wall in front of you. And then with your exhale, just shift a little bit of weight back into that back leg. I'm not going to go too far. Take the inhale, walk the fingertips forward as you get into a little bit of a low lunge. And then use your exhale just to kind of release your weight back. Be mindful of that left knee. Does it need any extra cushioning? Inhale, torso opens up forward. And as you exhale, just push back a little bit. We're going to go twice more. Inhale, open up the front side of the body. And then as you exhale, push back. Once more, come forward. And this time, use that back leg to help you kind of sink into this a little bit more. So do you notice that the knee is the culprit here that is not allowing you to stay here? Use something underneath that left knee. And as I sink the hips down towards the mat, notice the hip flexor right now on the left hip, the one that's behind me. That's what I'm trying to open up. I'm using my hand to help prop myself up here. And I might notice that this is plenty enough that the sensation is enough for me to handle right now. And I'm going to stay for about 5 breaths. And once again, your breath might be a little faster, a little bit slower. Notice what foot position is most comfortable for you on that back left foot. Whatever is most comfortable for you to be able to sink down and release the tension. Do you notice that you're creating more tension? Do the best you can to release the hips down towards the floor. And if you're getting enough sensation, by all means stay here. Or if you're looking for just a little bit more, I'm going to take my right hand on my right knee, and I'm just going to turn with my exhale the torso towards that right knee so that I can intensify the sensation in that left hip flexor. If that's too much for you, stay with your torso facing the floor. 2 more breaths here. Notice what you notice. Are you still breathing? Is your breath smooth? Is it going super fast? Where are you clenching? Where can you release? Slowly and gently push yourself back just enough so that you can bring this front right foot back underneath its hip, back into your tabletop. And once again, take any little bit of movement here. Kind of wiggle, jiggle yourself around a little bit here. You can do some cat-cows if you like. You might take a child's pose. What is going to make you feel better? Just for a breath or 2. And then come back into your tabletop. And once again, a very quick down dog just to use as a transition to get to our forward fold again. So inhale, open up collarbone. Exhale, lift the tail up into your downward facing dog. And then baby step those feet forward towards the front of the mat in your forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale to a standing position with or without arms. This time you decide. And as the hands come down through heart center to mountain pose, readjust. Notice what you notice. Notice the difference between one hip and the other. From mountain pose, inhale, scoop the arms up, lengthen the spine, and as you exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to the floor. Inhale that right leg back behind you, get into your low lunge. And again, if you notice that you need some sort of adjusting, move the feet so that you're in your proper spot. What's most comfortable for you? Do you need those blocks underneath your hands? Is that going to help you? I'm going to use my fingertips on the floor. And again, how is this side? Do you need the cushioning underneath that right knee? We want to take that inhale to lift the chest forward drop the hip down to the floor. Use the exhale just to release yourself out of it a little bit. Use your inhale to push forward, dropping the hip. Exhaling, move back a little bit. And again, adjust the foot, the right foot, to something that's comfortable for you. So inhaling forward, exhaling, release. Inhaling forward, keep that open collarbone. Exhaling, release. We'll do 2 more. Notice what you notice on the hips, knees, back. Are your shoulders doing all of the work? Hopefully not. 1 more, come forward, and I'm going to sink here as I hold. I might need to readjust that foot position a little bit as I drop the hips down towards the floor. So we're working on our right hip flexor now, and I'm dropping it down. If you notice that you feel all cramped up here, once again, you can use those props to help you lift the torso to create a little bit space if you need it. But again, notice what you notice. As you sink down here, find a spot that probably is slightly uncomfortable, however, not so uncomfortable that you can't get the benefit. So we're looking to do some work in that back hip flexor. So readjust, find the modification that's going to help you get into that hip flexor. And again, you can stay here if you like, or if you'd like to try to get a little bit more sensation, left hand onto that left hip. And use the exhale to get a little bit of a twist here as I turn the torso to the left side of the mat, but also I'm pushing that right hip down towards the floor. So once again, if this is too much, come out of the twist. Are you still breathing? Are sensations in other parts of your body overtaking? Or is it the actual hip flexor that we're kind of releasing here? You might notice some sensation in your glutes. I'm going to come back to the center. I'm just going to move my hands to the inside so that I can swing my left foot around and come back to that tabletop. And once again in that tabletop, what movement here is going to be most suitable for you? Maybe you want to sit back into a child's pose. Maybe you want to investigate a wide knee child's pose so that when you do come forward, maybe you can kind of wiggle your hip side to side so that you can investigate how those hip flexors, glutes feel. So we're just going to take about 2 or 3 breaths in whatever position or pose you decided to release the tension in. So basically a 2-second breather. And then slowly and gently from wherever you are, I'm going to come back to my sit position. So basically get to your bum. Now I'm going to have a little bit of a comfortable sit. So take the feet a little wider just so that you create space. You can do this with your feet together. However, I noticed that if the feet are a little bit wider, you create a little bit more space, so literally you have room for your body to kind of move into. And I'm just going to take a very gentle sway of the knees. And then as you go side to side, notice if you can time it with your exhale. The exhale are the knees dropping to one side. Inhale brings them through center, and then the exhale goes to the other side. And as you're swaying these knees side to side, notice, are they just little windshield wipers? Or do your hips allow a little bit more of a movement? Can you get possibly the knees to get a little bit closer towards the floor? You might notice that, oh, the inside knee can hit the floor, but the outside knee can't. That doesn't matter. Do what you can. You just want a little bit of a sway side to side. Once again, kind of getting into those hip sockets. And how do they feel? Do they feel lubricated? Do they feel nice and loose? Or did you create more tension? Maybe you were in those lunges and you pushed a little bit too far, and it's like now they're complaining to you. One more each side. And I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of work here. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to drop both of the knees down to the left side so that I'm facing you and then you can see it. So I'm going to find something that's comfortable in my legs. So I have an angle here from my thigh to my shin. I don't know. It's about 90, but it's not quite 90. And my back foot also, I think it's probably my back foot is closer in towards my bum. Find something that's comfortable because it's going to probably change in about 2 seconds. Now you're going to require a little bit of work from your shoulder here. So only go as far as you can, but we are going to try to investigate this a little bit. So my knees are to the left. That means my left hand is going to come behind me. You're going to find the comfortable spot for you so that you can push into that hand, push into the feet, and you're going to try to lift those hips up towards the ceiling. And then I'm just going to drop down. So again, this might be a little bit too much for your shoulder, especially if you can't hold your weight. So a little bit, maybe just I get a little bit of that hip coming forward and up. I'm going to try 2 or 3 times to see what am I going to be able to do right now. And then on my third one, I'm going to hold it a little bit more. So this requires a little bit of arm work. So again, just do what you can. Here, I'm trying to get a little bit more sensation in my right hip. You might notice some business on the left glute, but right hip flexor, do the best you can to hold for 1 more breath. And then with your exhale, release. Come back to both glutes. Relax those legs. Give them a little bit of a wiggle jiggle. Relax here a little bit. Nothing too drastic. And then I am going to do the same thing on the other side. So I am going to turn away from you, but find what works best for you on this side. So I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to drop the knees over to the right. And once again, I might find that my foot position is slightly different. You have to find something that's comfortable for your body at this moment. So I am going to take my right hand kind of behind me, enough that I can lift and then drop. And again, readjust maybe. As you inhale, you're lifting. And as you exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift. Do the best you can to lift those hips. Think shooting the hip bones forward and up. I didn't count the last side, I forget, so we'll do 2 more. We're just getting a little bit of movement here, and again, Readjust those feet if you need, if it's going to help you push a little bit more. One more to lift and hold. Can that right arm support you? Are you still breathing? Left hip now is what we're trying to get up and forward. Do the best you can. Hang in there, hang in there. And then exhale, woof, release down. Slowly bring your feet forward. Take any little movement here. Do you need to give your legs a little shake, a little wiggle jiggle? We're not quite done yet, but notice what you notice already in your hips. Do they feel any different? Let's investigate. I'm going to slowly make my way down towards the floor once again. So you might notice that you have to readjust where you are on your mat. And once again, no prop just yet. So we're going to get into a pose, a very easy legs up the wall without the wall. And we're just going to do it free form in the air. So once you come to your back and you're nice and comfortable, the spine is relaxed, draw the knees up into your chest. And you can stay right here. You might be quite comfortable right here, thinking this is enough sensation. Or you might be able to extend the legs up towards the ceiling. And once again, keep the sacrum on the floor. Now, with the legs extended, you might notice that you have a pretty generous bend in the knee, and that's all you can do right now. That's fine. You might want to stay here if you're comfortable. If it's uncomfortable, then re-bend the knees and draw the feet in a little bit closer to your glutes. If you notice that you can handle the legs extended, just extend them to where is comfortable for you. And try to even investigate not having the feet actually touch each other. Have the legs kind of floating independently. And again, where you are in the air here with your legs, it doesn't matter. We basically want the legs elevated. It might even feel nice to take your hands and kind of massage your legs here a little bit. Or you might be thinking, no, that's too much work. I don't want to do anything. But having the legs elevated feels nice. So we'll take about 5 breaths here. Just noticing the sensation in your legs with them being up towards the ceiling and the torso down towards the floor. You might take some gentle little movements here, but try not to do anything too harsh, too strenuous. The legs might slightly sway a little bit here in the air. That's fine. Notice your breath. How do you feel? If the legs are extended up towards the ceiling, slowly soften at the knees, bending at the knees. And then bringing the feet back down to the floor. Take any wiggle jiggle movements that you need here. And you can go straight into your Shavasana if you like, with the legs extended long. Or we can change our leg position here, very similar to where we started in that sit position. One of the options were those diamond knees, diamond legs, butterfly legs. I'm going to offer you that here. So have your feet relatively close together, touching each other. And then open up the knees, each to the side. Left to the left, right to the right. So the soles of your feet will be pressing into each other. Find where a comfortable foot position is for your knees, for your hips. And take a few breaths here just to notice what's going on in the hips, hip flexors, glutes. Did our little practice here create some space for you? Did our practice tell you where you need to work on tight spots in your body? I'm sure many of us are sitting around a little bit more in these times, sitting behind computers. So did our little session today remind ourselves that we need to take breaks from those sitting positions that we find ourselves in throughout the day? And you can stay in this position with these knees wider if that is suitable for you, if it's comfortable, if that's where you want to finish your practice. Or if you find this a little uncomfortable and you want to go more traditional Shavasana, you can take your hands and gently draw the knees in towards each other. You can stay right here if you like. Or extend those legs long. Soften your glutes, soften the legs. So find a pose, a modification to end your practice that is going to allow you to rest. Is it Shavasana? Is it a different modification? We're going to stay here for about 10 breaths. So find a position that you will be able to hold those 10 breaths. What is going to make you more comfortable? Putting on a sweater going to make you comfortable. Socks. Staying in Shavasana. Coming to a sit. Maybe there's another position that is going to suit you a little bit better. Where can you find the ease, the comfort to finish your practice in? Something that's going to make you feel good. Allow your breath to flow in and out freely. Don't force it. Don't try to change it. Just breathe. without moving just yet. Bring awareness to that breath. Sipping in a little bit more with that inhale. And letting it go in your exhale. Once more, a deeper inhale. And letting it go in your exhale. And slowly start inviting those little movements back into your body, bringing more awareness to the space that you are in. And taking your time, if you are in your traditional Shavasana, you're going to take your time to come up to your sit position. Take your time, don't rush. You don't want to jar your body right now. It's pretty relaxed, I hope. So as you slowly and gently make your way up into your sit, find a comfortable cross-legged, find the proper leg position for you right now. And as you try to sit nice and tall, bring the hands to heart center. Taking one more deep inhale here. And exhaling. We'll finish our practice here, honoring the light within. Namaste. So, how do your hips feel? How do your hip flexors feel? How do your glutes feel? How do you feel? Hopefully, you feel good. That's the whole idea. After our practice, we want to feel a little bit better. Maybe during some of those poses, we found things were a little uncomfortable, but were you able to continue? Were you able to breathe and continue? Or did you need to come out completely? And that's okay. The whole point is doing what we can at any particular moment. So once again, if you have any requests, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just continue with what I think is good for us on any particular day. And that's it for today. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.